Hello friends, welcome to Rain's Kitchen and Garden. I'm Rain. Today I am continuing my series on how to be as frugal as possible, how to save money. Today I'm going to talk about my car situation. I used to have a 2010 Dodge Journey SUV. This car became kind of a mini money pit when it reached about 10 years old. Every year I used to put so much money into the repairs because I honestly thought that I wouldn't be able to afford car payments for a new car or a newer to me car. The amount of money that I spent on repairs on this Dodge Journey over the last 4 years could have easily financed half of the cost of a new car, and this makes me cringe. But at the same time, I didn't even have the energy to go car shopping or even to apply for financing. Things were so stressful at home that I just decided to pay for the repairs. I put it all on my credit card and I hoped that there wouldn't be any more repairs coming. I have a lot of pets, so I was in the mindset also that I would need to have another SUV or some kind of large vehicle where I could fit my 5 dogs and my cat in the car with me. And it became so overwhelming that I convinced myself that I couldn't afford to get a new car at that time. I was trying my best to avoid that reality. I guess I was in denial. I knew that my insurance would go up as well. I knew that I would have to probably buy either summer or winter tires. And after having gone through the last year that I've gone through, dealing with grief and closing up my late husband's estate, I honestly didn't want to deal with a car salesperson. But in late April of this year, I was in town and the right front wheel started to smoke. I knew it was the caliper because I'd had issues with the calipers before. So I went to see my mechanic that day when I was in town, and I was lucky enough that he had some time. So he had one of his other mechanics do a little quick check of my SUV. He said, Rain, honestly, if you want to pass inspection this month, it's going to cost about $2,000 to $3,000 in repairs. And he also mentioned that I should probably get that caliper replaced sooner than later. Where I live, you have to pass a car inspection every 2 years before you can renew your registration. And mine was due within a month of the caliper deciding to smoke up. I just didn't want to put any more money into that car. And I knew it was time for me to start shopping around for something else. So my mechanic did a little bit of a quick job to tide me over for a week or so. I was very lucky. And a few days later, I had to come back to town to go to the hospital for my finger. And on a complete spontaneous whim, I pulled into one of the local dealerships. I was greeted by a very nice salesman, and we talked for just a little bit. And I told him what my needs were and why I was looking for something new. I told him that my SUV needed extensive repairs, but I didn't want to put any more money into it. And before I had the Dodge Journey, which I bought in 2013, I had this little Hyundai Accent. It was a small, zippy little car that was so low cost and easy on the gas bill. I'd been thinking about that type of car that I wanted to buy, what type of car. And I decided I was going to get a car, not an SUV, not a gas guzzler, and a sedan. If I ever had to bring 5 dogs and a cat with me in the car, which I can't even imagine a scenario like that, I could make do by squeezing them all in. But the likelihood of that happening, it was very rare. So I decided I would go with a smaller car. And I told the salesman that I needed financing as well. So he processed an application right away, and I was accepted for financing at a decent interest rate. So we knew how much money we could play around with. As luck would have it, he had a 4-year-old Toyota Corolla sedan that had just been traded in a couple of days previously. It was in stellar condition, only 50,000 kilometers. It's unheard of for a 4-year-old car. Most cars have over 80 to 90,000 kilometers on them. And the previous owner was this nice little old lady who didn't drive it very much. She kept it in a garage, and she decided she wanted to trade it in because it was too low for her to get in and out. She was having trouble with that. And the dealership, they hadn't even had time to advertise it yet. Toyota Corollas are very good cars. As a good friend of mine told me, You can't kill a Corolla. I showed interest. I did a test drive. It was super smooth, all the bells and whistles of a modern car, super clean, new winter tires. The dealer even threw in a set of new summer tires. We agreed on the financing, and I told him I just needed a day to go over my budget just to make sure that I could afford everything. And I also had to find out how much my insurance was going to go up, because I was currently paying for liability only on my Dodge Journey. So I had to figure out all the costs. So the next morning, I remember I got up at 4 in the morning, super excited to go through my budget just to make sure that I could afford the payments and the insurance. I had already spoken to the insurance agent, and she told me how much the price was going to go up, which was about what I had expected. So I contacted the dealership and I told the salesman that I was interested, and we made a deal. And a few days later, I was dropping off my old junker of an SUV and driving home in a like-new Toyota Corolla. It was more than I expected to pay, honestly. But the fact was that it's such a great car. No rust, all new tires, 50,000 kilometers, a reputation of being one of the best cars out there. I had to jump on it. Someone else would have snatched it up as soon as they advertised it. I think my timing was perfect, and I got very lucky. I feel very safe in this car. But now let's talk about how it's going to save me money. When it comes down to a car, we're talking about the cost of gas and the cost of repairs. The cost of repairs is not going to be anywhere near the amount that I had to put into the Dodge Journey. I did my research about the Corolla, and I spoke to my own mechanic about it, and he said he was actually envious that I got the car. He said that if he was looking for a car, he would have grabbed that one too in an instant. I told him about my friend who said that you can't kill a Corolla, and he agreed. So as long as I maintain it, make sure I get it undercoated every fall for the rust, this car should last me a very long time with no exorbitant repair costs. Of course, anything can go wrong, but the reputation of this car precedes itself. When it comes to gas consumption, I'm going to show you a little graphic here. Take a look at this. I did research on the gas consumption of a 2010 Dodge Journey versus a 2022 Toyota Corolla, and this was the result. Isn't that amazing? For the same amount of gas, the Dodge Journey would only take me 21 miles, where the Toyota Corolla would take me 34 miles. This is a huge deal for me because I live rural. I don't drive that often, maybe once, twice, maximum 3 to 4 times a month. But when I do drive, it's long distances, and I want to make sure that I have the best bang for my buck when it comes to gas. Especially recently, since the gas prices have skyrocketed. It's crazy. When I have to replace tires, they will be much more cost-friendly than SUV tires, that's for sure. So that's another savings. I also make sure that I put in additives to the transmission as well as to the gas tank to make sure that everything's running smoothly. In the fall, when it starts to get cold, I add some antifreeze to the gas tank. I regularly check the oil and the transmission fluid levels. I also make sure there is enough windshield wiper fluid. On my old car, I knew how to change the air filter, and I'm going to have to learn how to do this on this car. But overall, this is a great investment, not only for saving money in the long run, because let's face it, I need a car. It's also an investment in peace of mind. Every time I took that Dodge Journey out on the highway, I have to tell you, I felt stress because I never knew what was going to happen. There was an incident last summer where I was driving, and all of a sudden I seemed to have lost control of the car, and it veered towards a ditch and a river. It was terrifying. Without any warning, a piece that was holding my wheel onto the car just snapped in half, and it was due to rust. And I had the car looked at a few months earlier, and the mechanic who looked at it, he didn't even see that there was a potential danger. Not to his fault, it just happened. So I never felt safe in that car, and I feel very safe in the car that I have right now. It's very exciting to get a new car or a newer car, and I'm very, very happy that I was kind of forced into doing this. I was procrastinating on making this decision because I just didn't have the energy to do it. But sometimes you have to, put your big girl boots on and do the right thing for yourself. And I'm glad that I did it. My timing was right and I got a good interest rate for the loan. So my friends, that is what I wanted to share about the costs of cars, car repairs, gas, and maintenance. One might say that it's really not frugal if you're buying a car and paying through financing. Yes, I agree that cars are expensive, but where I live, I do need a car to get around. There's no way I could walk to town. It's about a 45-minute drive on the highway at 100 kilometers an hour. I can't imagine how many hours it would take me to walk or even get on my bike. So a car is necessary where I live. A car that breaks down and requires thousands of dollars of repair every year, that's not frugal at all. So I hope that you enjoyed this video today, my friends. I would love to hear all about your car stories or any way that you're able to save money with regards to your car in general. Please do leave me a comment. Please like and subscribe, and do share this with anyone you might think will enjoy it. Thanks again, my friends, and we'll see you next time on Rain's Kitchen and Garden. Bye.